PTC Creo Parametric 3.0, Lesson 5, Part 1. In this lesson, we will create a part with a slightly different shape, and we will add some elements and some information that we haven't done in the previous parts. We'll deal a little bit with datum planes and geometric tolerancing and a few other items. So let's start off by clicking on New. This is the anchor part. I'll call it anchor 1. We'll leave the default template on. Click OK. Now I still have my isometric set as my default view, so I'm going to go to File, Options, and Model Display, and go to Trimetric. See what else is checked here. Show silhouette. Let's check on that. Apply. And my sketcher is 3 decimal places. I think I'll go to 4 decimal places. Leave the grid off. Click OK. No. And we're going to sketch on the front datum plane again. And we want to be in the Model tab. Our first extrusion is going to have an angled edge. And I'm going to do this in the sketch view, the 2D sketcher, rather than being in 3D. Doesn't make any difference really. We could have done it in the 3D. I'm just going to roll my middle mouse, and I'm going to move my my screen graphics over by holding down the Shift key and the middle mouse button. So right mouse button, line chain, start at the origin, up, over, you can see V for vertical, and I'm going to close it up, pull my cursor off, hit middle mouse button twice. Now I want a large arc here, and if we look at the part, we will see what the dimensions are. These are the dimensions of the angle, 25 degrees, and we have a 1-inch diameter fillet at the top. So right mouse button, fillet, and I'm going to click 2 positions on lines. And I'm also going to right mouse button, select dimension, click on the angled line and then the line reference on the bottom. Move my cursor over and put my angle in there. And I have my length. I have my height over here. I have the angle dimension. And we have the radius. So basically we have everything we need. These are the design dimensions. If you want to, you can actually tweak on this a little bit to make it look a little bit more like the shape we want. Sizes are not important. Do not change your sizes to the dimensions that are given on my sketch. This is my sketch. You'll see that they're very different than the dimensions over here. And basically what we're doing is we're taking those dimensions and we're modifying them to the design dimensions. So we want to window in all of them, and if you miss one, you can always hold down your control key and select the other dimension. Right mouse button, we're going to modify, and we're going to expand this out. Again, lock your scale for the first one you're going to change. And I know this is 5.5, 5.5 for the length. So I'll go to that field, type in 5.5 and hit enter. Okay. Now everything is very close to what I want it to be. This is supposed to be 1 inch. This is 5.5. This is 25. And this is 1.125, as I recall. Let me go back over here and take a look. Yes. So, Control D, and I can either go and get my OK from the right mouse button pop-up, or I can click on OK in the ribbon. And as far as the depth goes, I think it's 2.5625. Hit enter. Check. And we have our first feature. Now here we will go back and select the model display for isometric. And while we're there, we might as well add some color. I haven't been doing too good with the color selection here. What else do we have? Under miscellaneous, let's try we're going to go back to paint and we'll do metallic. And let's see what we've got for this one. It's kind of dark. So again, you just put your cursor over the top, edit, and make any of the color changes you wish. Working with pastels is really what you want to do. You don't want things to be too dark, and you don't want reds if you can help it. I'll use that one. And also with the color editor for the edge color, I'll do dark blue. And again, if we want, we can actually change some of the other elements here as to how it looks. This is set because it is paint. It's given to you. And we have metallic, which is one of our selections, rather than generic. So let's close. And you can rotate your model around just to see what it looks like. See what the highlights are. Control D to go back to our standard orientation. Now, in this case here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to set up our model tree, and we click on the coordinate system, and we're going to change this name to anchor and get rid of the default. So we have our name on the model. The datum planes we'll leave alone for right now. Now we've got our first feature, and the next thing we want to do is we want to create a cut. And if we notice about the part itself, I'll go back up to the top. It's got a cut on the top and a cut on the bottom, and then a cut down the middle. So you take a look at where the references are coming from for the cut. We have 1.875 from one end, and from the bottom 1.125. So we're going to select, well, for the sketching plane, I'll tell you what to select. We're going to give the command first. So pick extrude, and then select the reference, the remove material, and then the reference for sketching. And the arrow showed we were sketching or looking in this direction here. So if I click on sketch view, it'll turn it. And my most important thing here, again, is paying attention to the fact that I've got my orientation the same, so I know the cut's going to be out of the left-hand side, right in here. But one thing I don't have is enough references. So I can go to my references by the right mouse button, or I can click references up in the top left of the ribbon. And I want the very top and the left to be selected as references. You'll see what they go in as surface references. Click on solve. It'll say fully placed. Close. And now we're simply going to put in 2 lines. Now we're going to leave this an open section. Most of the time it says a closed section is better. And I don't really care why. It just says that. So basically, let's go back over and standard orientation. Take a look at it. Sketch view. Go in and go to hidden line. This is an open section. A closed section would have used the reference here and here for lines. Here we're just using the end points. So basically we have 2 dimensions, but neither one of these dimensions are the ones for the design. The first one, the dimension, has to be from the bottom. So right mouse button dimension. So from the bottom reference here to here. As soon as I do, the top one disappears. And next, the same thing, I'm going to go from the edge to the line. Middle mouse button places, left mouse button ends it. And this is supposed to be 1.875, as I recall. And this is supposed to be 1.125, and hit enter. And you can see it actually matches up with this edge, and we could have used this as a reference, and we would have eliminated, if we would have made it coincident, we would have eliminated the need for this dimension. But if you want to be able to have this dimension available in the design and in the drawing, then you're going to leave it like it is. You might want to be able to alter it simply by editing the dimension, not going back and changing the sketch dimensioning scheme. So Control D. Let's go back to our shaded with edges. Check. It's going the wrong direction. You want to go that way, and you want to make sure you're hitting the right way for the arrow to be pointing for the removal of the material. And basically what you're doing is you're cutting all the way through. So if I put my cursor over the top, right mouse button, through all, check. We have our cut. Left mouse button, and that will deselect. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing for the cut on the bottom. Cut, remove material, and instead of going and selecting anything, right mouse button, define internal sketch, and I'm just going to click on use previous here. And 2D. Now here's where most people make mistakes. This is a cut on the top. We're making a cut down here. Many people would say, why don't you combine the two? Well, when I saw, I only saw with the saw in one hand. I don't put a saw in both of my hands and cut with it. This is the same thing. If you're a machinist, you're going to cut this out, then you're going to cut this out, or vice versa. You're not going to cut everything at the exact same time. Therefore, keep the features separate so that design intent has a little bit more integrity. If you want to come back and change this cut, why should you also have to deal with this one at the same time? So separate them always, under every circumstance. References, I'm going to pick the left edge. I'm going to pick the bottom. Right mouse button, I'm going to go, this time let's make a closed sketch. And we have two dimensions here, and you'll notice we do have the correct dimensioning scheme. We go here as one is 1.0625, and the other one is 0.5625. If you're off on these, it really doesn't make any difference. You can change them in the model when it's completed. You can alter them to anything you want at any stage in the design process, as long as the dimensioning scheme is correct. If you had a dimension from here to here, then you could not alter this size correctly. You'd not be able to do an ECO on it. Therefore, you'd have to go back to this sketch, put this dimension in so that it's available when downstream you have changes in your design. Go into my standard orientation. Right mouse button, OK. Make sure I'm cutting in the right direction. I can rotate this around to see it. And this again is through all, like so. Middle mouse button to finish. Standard orientation. I hit the default, same thing right now because I have not changed the default. So I've got my view. Now, I got my model. At this point, let's go over and make sure our tree filters, you can turn all of these on. We don't really need them right now, but in many cases you want to have these on. And if we click on layer tree, we'll see that the system, Creo, has been creating layers for us. We have some default dimensioning planes. We've got all part dimensioning coordinate systems, DTM coordinate system. So these have been created automatically, and certain items have been put on them for you to divide your information. Layers are not the same in Creo as they are for NX or SolidWorks or AutoCAD. So don't think of them. They're more like separations of information. Let's go back to my model tree. So we've got our first few features on there, 3 of them. Next one, we're going to cut a slot down the middle. Now, in order to do that, we want to be able to sketch on something that will divide this. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to select on my front datum plane, and I'm going to click on the plane tool. And basically, you're not going to do the math. This is very important. 1.875 divided by 2. Enter. Always do this. Even if you think you know everything and you're perfect in math, if you put a unique dimension in here and you don't get it to be exactly half or third or whatever you want it to be, that tiny bit off, that thousandth off, can change the design completely. So let the system do the math. Click on OK, and here's my new datum plane. And let's click on Extrude. Right mouse button and see what's available. Now, one of the problems here, I'm in the sketch. If I go back over my Extrude, I'm going to turn this one off, because basically what I want to do is I want to be in my Extrude. I want to be able to get my remove material. So that selection is available here. Then I can use right mouse button, define internal sketch, or I can just click on define here. I'm going to go back and select my datum plane. If I would have given my command first and then selection, I would have not had to do it this way, but I pre-selected my datum plane. So here's my sketch, and this time I will go into my sketch view again. And this is a slot that's out of the middle of the part, or on the one side of the part. It's 0.75. So basically, I'll go down a little bit farther. And I actually jumped ahead a little bit. I'll have to go back. Not really go back, but go back in the book. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch the cut, and I need some references. So the first reference I need is on the edge here. The other one is the vertical. Then I need the point. I need an extra point, and I want to put it at the end here, at the intersection of the other two references. So that's a point reference. These are sketch features. Now I will go and I'll turn off the shading. I think you can see it okay. If you can't see it, basically you can always go back over to your appearances here and you can change your appearance, see what else is available. So basically I could just go back to my standard color if I wanted to and see what it does. Okay, so it makes it darker. So the edges are easier to see. Now I've got my references. I need to put in a couple of lines. Now if you're careful, first of all it's going to lock into the edge line, and as you pull it out you'll see that you can get it to be perpendicular. The constraints will show up. Bring it all the way over. Middle mouse button, and I'll leave this as an open section. I have 2 dimensions here. Now this is a good dimension. I'm going to need this one. I don't mean value, I mean the dimensioning scheme. So right mouse button, and I'm going to make that one strong. And then when I add a dimension here, I'm going to go from the line, not the point. I'm going to go to the line and go over to the point, and then middle mouse button to place it, left mouse button to complete. So now you can see if you grab this, it'll hold the constraints. Dimensions aren't important. Your dimensioning scheme, which is for your design and manufacturing, that is what's important. So basically we've got 1.5, and I want you to follow everything it says in the book. There's going to be certain situations where you actually go back when you're in lesson, let's say 11 for this part, and you're going to do detailed drawing, and you're going to make some changes. So you want the dimensions to be exactly like given to you in the book. And the other one is 2.625. Enter. And I'll turn the model, and in this case I'll go back into my shading with edges. Okay. I want it to be cutting in this direction. Or do I? Does it make any difference? What I'm really trying to do is create a symmetrical cut. So I can come up and pick on symmetry, and I can adjust it until it's the size I want. And it's 0.75. Can't get it exactly. Double click on the value and hit, and after you type in the size you want, hit enter. Check. And we have our cut. So our major features are completed at this point. We do have one extra datum plane, and I want to put in another datum plane, but let's go over and select the model, come up and select the plane tool. It'll pass it through that surface, and click on OK. I don't think I did it right. I'm going to undo it and do it again. I think I picked on the wrong thing. I did. I went and just selected it. What I want to do is select the model and move your cursor a little bit so that it highlights it. Now, to avoid having to do it this way, there's my plane. I did want it to go. I noticed it. I said, wait, so why is it offset? I wanted to be able to select through, and here it is. Click OK. The other option would have been to just select the tool first, come over and pick on the surface, and then go select in the field where it says offset and through. Okay. So I've got an angle datum plane through there. So now I've got 5 datum planes. Now, this is not following exactly what's in the book, but it is for the geometry. Later we'll talk about the datum planes and the geometric tolerancing, etc. So we do also want a datum axis down the middle of this arc. The software doesn't put axes down the middle of an arc or a slot or a curved surface. It'll only do it for a diameter, like a hole or a shaft. So what we want to do is click on axis and select the curve. You can see the axis go in. It's through. Click OK. And now let's select the hole tool. And let's see what we've got here. We've got the axis. If you hold down the control key and you pick on the new datum plane, like so, and under shape, I think it's supposed to be 0.25. We can change that later if it's too small. And we want it to be through all in both directions. And 0.25. Again, I can't remember what it was. We can go look. We got our cut here. Completed that. And again, we will go back and cover some of the other things. And basically what you're doing is you're just doing the physical geometry now, and then we'll add some of the information and alter some things later. But follow the steps in the book. So I think it's, oh, it was. Okay, so it's 1/4 of an inch. And again, the size is not important because later we can go back and, I'm going to keep it here, we can go back and change it. So check. And the last thing we want to do is we want to put a hole on this surface. Now, if we pre-select the feature, move your cursor, it'll highlight it. That means it's a selected surface. So I'm going to go and select hole as my tool, and I'm going to drag one of my references over to the datum plane that we created back here, the standard datum plane front. And the other one, I'm going to very carefully bring it up here to the edge and drop it off. I know it's going to be about an inch, and I can bring it around. Now I know this dimension here is going to be 1.875 divided by 2, and I know this other dimension here, and we'll see what that one is for the hole. It's not going to be a threaded hole, it's just going to be a regular hole. And basically I have you go 2.0625. Let's try that for the dimension. Oh, didn't do it right. To watch when I'm typing. Hit enter, and you'll see that it's kind of small, the thickness, the amount of material left here. And again, leave it like it is. As far as the depth goes, let's try 1.25. And actually, I think that's 1. Let's click on 1. And again, it doesn't make any difference. Check. So there's our hole. Click on the hole again, right mouse button, edit definition. And let's go back up here and let's select standard hole drill profile. Like so. You can see it now on the bottom. Control D. Let's go back into view, appearance gallery, and let's just edit this color. And if you want to add the highlight color. And also if we take a look here, let's see what else can we do. Let's make it a little bit transparent so that you can see the internals on it. Make sure you save it. Actually, I should have been saving all along, but I really didn't want to. I don't need it in the database. Rotate around, take a look at it. And this concludes Lesson 5, Part 1.